All right, guys. Hopefully this one works. I hope you guys can hear me. Um, as you guys are checking in, I'll know if you can hear me or not. If you can't hear me, it kind of defeats the purpose of doing a live video. The whole point was so that way I can communicate and show you guys some of the stuff and elaborate a little more on the leg series, the lead leg series videos that I posted yesterday. So as you guys are coming in, let me know if you can hear me. Obviously. Oh, we got it. Nice. Okay, I was about to say if this one doesn't work, I'm gonna have to give up on the YouTube live, and I would have had to try maybe through Facebook or something. But yeah, my laptop usually. What I really need to do is just get a new laptop. I think I'm milking this one loud and clear. Nice. Yeah, I think I'm milking my laptop for too long. I've had this issue a couple of times trying to use my laptop to do live stream. I think ultimately I just need to get a better laptop or a new one. Me being frugal, but good. I'm glad you guys can hear now. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to do a quick live practice here, kind of elaborating on some of the lead leg series videos that I posted yesterday. Hopefully any of the students watching, you got a little chance to kind of at least watch the videos so you at least understand what to expect and what to work on here. So awesome. Good. I'm glad that it's all clear. Good. Thank you, Will. Yeah, sorry about that. Like I said, for some reason the mic on my laptop it doesn't pick up all the time. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and get started. The only thing we did so far was we got a little stretch in. So if you didn't get the chance to do that, go ahead and do so now. I'm going to explain a couple more things real quick before we get started. But if you didn't get a chance to stretch already, get yourself a light little stretch in. We're not going to do a ton of conditioning today. It's going to be mostly just break down on that technique, going over all those footwork drills. So go ahead and stretch yourself out, grab a quick drink. Like I said, I'll give it probably, I don't know, another 30 seconds, 45 seconds or so, and then we'll go ahead and get started, okay? I just want to make sure we have time for everybody that wants to participate or watch with it live has a chance to log in, especially since that first video didn't work. Of course. All right. Okay, guys. So hopefully you took the last minute or so just to kind of stretch out lightly and get yourself loosened up a little bit. We're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to jump right into the very first step. Okay. Now, the first step can be different depending on what your goal is. So with all of these drills, as I said in the original videos yesterday, make sure you know what you're trying to accomplish from the drill. Okay. And now I'm saying that for these drills, but this is for you guys when you're in class. It doesn't matter what the class is, what the drill is. Try to make an effort to have a goal at the end of it, right? A lot of times we tell you what the goal is just so you can understand, but try to really understand that. That's going to get you so much more out of your training if you come into it understanding what the goal is before you even start. So right now, before we start this first step, you have to decide, are you trying to use these steps to improve kicking better with your lead leg? Or are you trying to use these steps for boxing or so you can punch or use arm attacks like an elbow or maybe a palm strike? Okay. So we got to know what it is. I'm going to show both. All right. And feel free to try both of them. Even if you're only in boxing program and you want to try the kick footwork, that's fine. Vice versa. If you're only in Taekwondo and you don't work punching too much, but you want to try using this for boxing, you totally can. Okay. It's up to you. All I'm saying is make sure you know what your goal is, whether it's one, the other, or both before you get started. Okay. All right. Now, first step, let's go ahead. I'm going to head back here. Hope you guys can still see and hear me. Let me fix the angle of the camera just a little bit for you there so you can see my feet. That's kind of important when we do footwork. All right. Now, we stretched out hopefully a little bit. We loosened up. Okay. The first step is a stationary step. Now, stationary doesn't necessarily mean the actual definition of stationary. You're not staying completely still. All right, we're going to move our lead leg, but our back leg is the one that will stay stationary, okay? So I'm going to start off. First step is going to be for the boxing students and the ones that want to use this footwork for punching or arm attack, okay? So getting in our stance, okay? First thing first, make sure you know your stance, right? None of these drills are going to work well if you're not sure where your stance is. So if you like to stand with your right hand in the back, you're what's known as an orthodox fighter, right? That's the comfortable stance for you. If you like to fight with your left hand behind you and your left leg behind you, then you're a southpaw fighter, okay? Now, there are some cases where students are really efficient and really good at doing both stances, okay? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's actually good to know some things from the other stance, okay? But when it comes to learning, all right, when it comes to going to class and doing all these drills and stuff, it's good for you to just pick one stance and stick with it, okay? Instead of trying to learn something from two different stances, you then narrow it all down and you can learn it all in one stance. Later on, when you get a little more advanced, then, you can try to practice those same drills and try working on different things from the opposite stance, okay? So again, get in your natural stance, okay? And for my boxers, you're just going to take one step with your lead leg, small step, and then back, okay? I'll show you guys from the side view here. Front leg steps, comes back, okay? I want you guys to keep practicing this one, okay? I just want you to stay on your spot and step, come back, step, come back, okay? Do that for me 10 times at least, if not more, all right? Now, for my students that are using this footwork for kicking, instead of stepping forward with your front leg, I want you to pick that front leg up. That's all you're going to do is balance on your back leg for a moment and then place your foot right back where it was, okay? So from the front, you're here. You pick the leg up if you're trying to use this footwork to get better at kicking, or you'll step if you're trying to use that footwork to get better for punching, okay? So I'm going to go back and forth. I'm going to do one for punching, one for kicking, because I'm going to try to learn both of these, all right? So we'll do 10, all right? Start off with my boxing step first. 1, step, come back, okay? 2, okay, that's for the kickers there. 3, step. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, okay? All right, so that's the first step, all right? I mixed back and forth. I did it for both, all right? If you're in Gym Ninjas or Muay Thai class where you're learning a lot of punches and kicks, it might be a good idea for you to try both, okay? Now, for the Taekwondo and boxing students, it's optional, right? If you just want to stick with the step, just stick with that. If you want to learn the other one, though, go for it. There's nothing wrong with trying to learn new stuff, all right? You should always continue to keep learning, trying to grow your skills as you train, okay? Now, step 2. This is the defensive step, all right? So I'll show you from the side angle here. This step is going to be the same. Now, doesn't matter if we're punching or kicking, okay? Step 2, my front leg comes back, and I finish in the opposite stance, okay? So again, my front leg steps back, and I land right in my opposite stance, okay? Now, again, this is more defensive because I'm backing up, right? Now, for our Muay Thai students, we can kick to the leg. This is a very good way to avoid that inside and outside leg kick, okay? Now, it gets tricky, though, because for that moment, when you do step back, you are in that opposite stance, as we said in the beginning. If you don't normally train from the other stance, it can feel uncomfortable, right? You might not be too comfortable there. So for the sake of the footwork, after you back up with that front foot, just step right back where you were and return to your stance so you're comfortable. You can defend or attack if you need to, okay? So let's go ahead and practice that step. We're going to do it 10 times, just like we did with the first step, okay? So get in your stance, all right? Now, when I count, we all step back together, and then we step forward. Ready? 1, step back, switch your stance, and then step back to your regular stance. 2, step back, return. 3, good. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, good. So there's the second step for you. Again, that's more of a defensive step. And for the sake of us and just trying to categorize it, we're going to call it a drop step. Okay, so whenever we refer to our drop step now, let's refer to that being our front leg stepping back and us dropping back to the opposite stance. Okay, now some of my boxing students, real quick, just to clarify, we've used the term drop step before. Okay, it's not a term that I just came up with. It's actually a term that my teacher, Arjan Scott, I don't even know if he came up with it, but that's the first place and only place I've heard it be referred to as a drop step. But basically, what he's referring to when he says it is his back leg steps back, and then you're here. Okay, we can also call that one a drop step, but that's a different lesson for a completely different day. Okay, we're only trying to focus on this lead leg right now. All right, so we went over step 1, we went over step 2, now we get to step 3. All right, step 2 was defensive, that drop step, we were backing up. Okay, step 3 is going to be a little more offensive. We're going to step forward. Okay, but our lead leg will actually stay in place on this one, at least for the first part. Okay, my back leg steps forward, and I finish in my opposite stance. Okay, literally just the opposite motion of what we did in that second one. Okay, so again, this one has 2 parts to it. All right, so this gets a little more tricky. So try to follow along best you can. All right, the main thing with all of this footwork, when I step into that opposite stance, I need to return or get back to the stance I started in to be able to attack or do things comfortably. Okay, now I'll show you guys some things here in a minute after we get through the steps to where you can throw attacks from that opposite stance. Might feel a little funny, might feel a little weird, but like anything, the more you practice it, the more comfortable it will become. Okay, so back to our third step here. All right, or call this one the walk step, because it's almost like we're just walking, right? One foot in front of the other, right? Just walking, okay? But it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to continue to advance forward, okay? We could easily use this walk step to come forward and then easily use that same step to come back to where we were, okay? So I'm going to let you choose. For demonstration purposes, I'll alternate back and forth, okay? So first part, step forward with your back leg, okay? Now, if you want to advance, you step forward again with the other leg. If you want to go back, you step back with the same leg you just stepped forward with, okay? So for the first one, if I'm advancing, front leg comes forward, okay? Now, if I want to do the second version, I'll step forward, and then I'll immediately step back to where I was. So that way I'm back in my stance, okay? Again, I'm going to alternate between the two. If you just want to work on one of those two, that's fine. If you want to try to do them both, also fine, okay? Get in your fighting stance, all right? Same thing like before. We'll get 10 repetitions of this. So I'm going to count. 1, step forward, and then you decide where you're going to go, all right? For the sake of room, I'm going to have to back up on that one because I don't have much space, all right? 2, back leg steps up. And then on this one, I'm going to step back, okay? 3, step, step, all right? 4, step, step, okay? 5, step, step, okay? Return. 6, step, step. 7, step, step, okay? 8, and 9, and then last one, 10, step, step, okay? So this is where it can get a little confusing because this one, like I said, has 2 versions, just like that first one kind of does. But that footwork, whether you go forward or back, is the same footwork we're going to use whether you're punching or kicking. Okay, so that part will not affect what type of attack you can use or set up with that step, okay? Fourth step, last one, is our switch, okay? Now, something else to go with this one, there's two different ways. There's actually more, but for our purpose, there's two ways that we're going to use this one, okay? You can switch on your spot, or you can switch and hop forward, all right? Now, you can also switch and hop back. You can switch to the side. You can switch to the like a diagonal angle, all right? That requires a little more skill. That's a little harder and a little more advanced. That could be another lesson for another day as well, okay? But right now, we're just going to work on either the stationary switch or sometimes shuffle, or we're going to work on the little hop forward switch, okay? So you do either one. Let your space that you're working out in dictate which one you want to practice, okay? All right, so footwork will be the same again too, whether it be boxing or kicking, all right? You pick which one you want to do, but the switch footwork will be the same, all right? Basically, all we're going to do is we're going to let both of our feet leave the ground at the same time, and we're essentially just going to land in the opposite stance, okay? As soon as we get there, for now, just for footwork purposes, you're going to switch right back to your regular stance as soon as you're done, okay? So I'm going to alternate the two again, just so you can see the difference in the two ways to do it. You guys just work on one or try both if you'd like to try both, okay? So I'm here. 1, switch, return, okay? 2, switch, I'm going to step forward, okay? 3, switch, return. 4, switch, hop forward, okay? 5, switch. 6, 7, 8, 9, and last one, 10. Good. Okay. All right. So there you have it. 4 footworks all broken down right there. Okay. Now, obviously, there's a lot of different versions of those footworks, and there are more advanced things we can do with that footwork. Okay. But those 4 right there, to me, are the fundamental, like, best steps you can work on to improve kicking or punching with your lead side. All right. This next part here, we're going to go into that. We're going to look at a couple of the punches, kicks, and different things that we can set up using those footworks. Okay. I'm going to allow you guys to have a quick 30-second break. So grab yourself a drink if you need it. That's good stuff. But does anyone have questions real quick that's in the chat about those 4 steps? If so, ask them now, because we're going to move on to punches and kicks, and it's going to get a little tricky for you, especially if you don't understand anything about the steps right there. So let me know. All right, let me know. I'll keep an eye on that chat. So at any point, if you have a question about what we're doing or what we're working on, let me know. Let me know. All right, all good? We'll go ahead and move on to the second part here, and we'll start going into different punches and kicks that we can set up off these steps, okay? So back to it, okay? Now, I always forget to change the camera. Hard to learn steps when you can't see my feet. All right, now back to our first step, okay? Now we're going to look at this for setting up our punches first, okay? Now, anyone who's in boxing, okay, or Muay Thai, or even the other programs, Gym Ninjas, Taekwondo, you guys all use punches in some way. You don't necessarily have to use this punch in some of the programs. This isn't one you traditionally see maybe in the Taekwondo, just because when it comes to competition, a jab to a chest protector doesn't really score you any points, okay? Now, a big overhand, something with that rear hand, yeah, you can definitely score some points with it. One thing I would say, though, for the Taekwondo students that are following along, if you do learn the step a little bit, it still can be useful for some of the things that you guys work on and some of the things that you can apply to your actual competition, okay? So like I said, for any of you, if you want to learn the other step, even if it's not necessarily one that would mostly resonate with your program, it's completely fine. Okay, do it. Now, back to that first step. All right, we're gonna work off the boxing first. Okay, first thing, your jab. Okay, that's probably gonna be the most common sense, easy thing to do from that step. Okay, but just to give you guys an idea, there are some other options there. Okay, for you guys that are boxing, a step with like a long hook or a step with a long reaching uppercut can still work. And you can really surprise an opponent by switching up those angles a little bit. Okay. Most of the time when your opponent sees that front foot step like this and come back, they expect you to throw a jab, right? Because that's the most common, right? But you can totally switch up that angle. And if you're looking at it head on, right? My first step, if I throw a jab, my second step, I can make just the same, but come around, right? So now I just completely changed the angle. If the opponent was guarding here, right, to block that jab from hitting in front, now I'm switching the angle and going around their glove or around their guard, okay? Now, generating a ton of power with a hook that's stretched out that far, not quite easy to do, right? And the further your body or your limb gets from your body, typically the harder it is to generate that power, okay? Now, you can use momentum to change that. That's why this step helps, okay? So from here, you can pick whichever attack you want, okay? For my gym ninjas, you can step when you throw your palm strike, okay? For my gym ninjas and my Muay Thai students, you could step and throw an elbow, okay? Now, you have a horizontal elbow, Muay Thai students, and you could crash in with that elbow as well, all right? So a lot of different options there for that first step for my guys that are trying to punch, kick, or elbow. I'm sorry, punch, palm strike, or elbow, okay? Kicking is what we're going to get to next. Now, first step for my kickers was to lift your leg and place it back down, okay? Now, you're going to do that similar motion to start, right? But just like I explained with the 3 different punches or ways to throw the punch, you have different ways you can use that lead leg to kick, right? Now, a lot of times, my Thai students will do that stiff foot jab there, right? For some of my Taekwondo and Gym Ninja students, will bend the knee and sometimes snap it out, more Taekwondo style, more like a snap kick, right? Both of those are fine, and they both work for different purposes, okay? Some other things you can do with that lead leg, though, you could turn, snap it out like a roundhouse kick, right? Or I could pull my knee towards my stomach, push it out like a side kick, right? Make sure you flex your toes on that one. Make sure you hit with the bottom of the foot there, okay? So there you have a couple ideas for the lead leg, and then for the Thai students too, our knee, right? We can pick this up, shoot the knee forward, put it back down, right? You have plenty of different options, okay? But those are some of the ones that you could easily use with that first footwork there, okay? Now, moving on to the second footwork. This is where things can get a little tricky, okay? Again, I'm going to start with the boxing options, and then we'll go into our kicking options after that, all right? So the second step was the drop back, right? The drop step. So I'm here. When I drop back to that opposite stance, now I can still throw what was my lead hand, right? But it's not really my lead hand anymore because I've changed stances. So this now becomes, instead of a jab, more of a cross, okay? So for all my boxing students and Gym Ninja students that are doing the cross, right? Step back. As soon as your foot is planted, this is important. Make sure the foot is down. Then you just pivot and turn and throw your punch just like you would throwing your cross with the other arm, okay? So one more time on that. Step back. You pivot and throw. Get back to that opposite stance. Then you return back to your natural stance. Does that make sense? Okay. Let me know, again, in the chat if you guys have any questions about any of these techniques or what we're working on here, okay? Now, with that same thing being said, we did a cross, but there's other options. There's other things you guys can do. So when you're doing that step, you could step back. You could easily throw a hook, right? Easily throw an uppercut with that arm. Easily throw an elbow. Easily throw a palm strike, okay? Any of those options work, right? It's just a matter of practicing it from that different stance, right? And that's where it gets tricky because, like we said in the beginning, If you've never trained in the other stance, it's a little tough, right? It's a little unnatural, a little uncomfortable. So really take your time when you're doing this one. That's why I'm not doing any counts for these punches or kicks. But as I'm demonstrating them, I hope that you guys are kind of just following along and trying them out a couple times on your own as you're listening and watching the video. Okay. So now taking our drop step and using it for a different purpose. Okay. Still on boxing here, still on arm strikes. All right. The first thing I just showed you was when we step back, we attack right when that foot's planted. Okay. Now, we don't have to attack right when we step back. Maybe they throw a big punch, right? I step back to get out of the way of that punch, but they stay where they're at. Okay. If I throw my attack right here, I might not reach them. Okay. Now, if they stay where they're at and I need to cover that distance, I'll simply just step back forward as I throw my attack. Okay. Not only will that close the distance for me to be able to hit my target, that also puts me back in my natural stance, right? So it's kind of like the old saying of killing two birds with one stone, right? So by dropping back, I'm avoiding getting hit, avoiding damage, and then by stepping back, I am now putting myself back in my stance and back at a range that I can attack my opponent, okay? So with that drop step, you can attack on the first step if you need to, or you can attack on the second step as you come back, okay? Again, any of those elbows, uppercut, any punch that you think you can try there, give it a shot, all right? So that was the drop step. Now, third one, this is our walking step. This is the offense. We're coming forward now, all right? So maybe our opponent's backing up, all right? So instead of taking small steps to catch them, they're too quick, or maybe they're lunging backwards to try to avoid and get away. I need to cover this distance more. I'm going to step forward, and then I can throw my attack. Okay? Now, again, just like on that drop step, we can throw our attack here on that first motion, right? If we're comfortable doing so. Or on the second motion, either I can come forward and attack again, right? Or I can bring that leg back and attack defensively. Okay? So very versatile footwork here. We can do a lot of stuff, like I said, with it. All right. So one more time, I'm here. All right. I step forward. Okay. I can attack from that opposite stance if I'm comfortable with it. Okay. Or I can step through again if I need to get closer. That will allow me to attack and put me back in my natural stance. Okay. So one more time. I'm here. Back leg comes up. As soon as my stance is established, I attack. Okay. Or as soon as I step up, I step again with the other leg to attack, or I step back. Okay. A lot of options there. All right. For kicking, it's pretty much the same idea, but you're just going to use your kicks. Okay. So for this one, all right, when I'm stepping back, all right, my lead leg now becomes the right. So with this hip back, I can generate much more power by turning over to throw my kick. Okay. I also can close the distance much better. Again, we're saying maybe our opponent backs up, or maybe our target is further away than we actually thought, right? So a small step forward might not get me there, but a big step with my back leg, oh yeah, now I just close more distance. Now I can attack and get back to my stance, okay? So same with the back step or the drop step, right? If I'm dropping back with my lead leg, I can attack with that leg right away, right? If I'm walking forward with the back leg, as soon as that foot's down, I can attack, okay? So super efficient and super versatile. A lot of stuff we can do with those, all right? The last one, our switch step real quick. We'll touch on that, okay? This can be the trickiest one to use, all right? But you have a handful of options with this one, okay? The one I want to show you is probably the most fun, at least in my opinion, because we're going to work on trying to throw the attack either right during the switch or immediately after we switch. All right. So what happens is you can not only generate a little more power from switching that hip for your kick, right? But you can also kind of overload or confuse the opponent sometimes by doing switching and shuffles and stuff like that. That's one thing the legendary boxer Muhammad Ali would used to switch his feet for. It wasn't necessarily to set everything up. It was also a distraction, right? He did use it to set up some punches and stuff, but only after he noticed that his opponent looked down at his feet, right? And as we say in the gym, when you're fighting or when you're sparring, you never want to look at your opponent's feet. You never want to look at their hands, okay? You don't even want to look them in the eyes, because even with their eyes, they can trick you, right? They can look down and hit you up high, right? They can look up high and hit you down low. So be careful even watching the eyes, because they can trick you with that, right? You always want to look at your opponent right in the middle of the chest, right? If your eyes are locked on the center of their chest, then your peripheral vision, which is made to detect motion, right, will see everything, right? That's the reason why if I put my finger right in my face and stare at it, I can still see my other finger over here. It may not be clear, but I know it's here. I can see it waving around, even though I'm focused on this finger, right? Same idea. When I'm looking at their chest, I can see their arms, legs, shoulders, hips, everything that's moving, and I can try to defend properly, okay? But back to the original point of why I even brought that up, to switch them, right? If you're looking down at my feet while I switch, you might not see me punch up high, right? Or if you're looking at my feet when I switch, you might see that leg, but you might not see that it's going to go up high. So you can really confuse and throw off your opponents with this step, all right? But with that being said, it is a little more difficult, okay? For the punches, all right, the main one I like to do with this is I'll do a switch step, and I'll throw my jab at the same time, okay? So while I'm in my stance here, I switch, I punch, and I get right back to my stance, okay? A little slower, switch, punch, okay? All I'm doing is stepping back forward with that lead leg to get back to my stance. Switch, I punch, I come right back, okay? Now, for doing that while you kick is a little trickier, right? Because I can't really kick while I'm also trying to put this foot up front. It doesn't work too well unless I jump up in the air. And really, at that point, I'd just be giving away my attack, right? If I don't do that, it's hard to throw your kick while you switch at the same time. But what we can do is throw our kick as soon as we get our balance in the middle of the switch. So when I'm here, when I switch, I pull my hip, right? I push it forward and I turn it, okay? So that way, as soon as I feel what was my front foot tap the ground, I can go right away and kick, okay? But it's important that you have that balance down, or else you're going to switch, you're going to try to throw your kick, and you're going to fall right on your butt, okay? So if I'm trying to do this slow, all right, this might be a little hard to do, but I'm going to switch, right? As soon as this back foot touches the ground now, I throw my kick, okay? Speeding it up, you switch, you kick right away, okay? You switch, pop. As soon as it taps, you go, okay? So timing is a little different on the kick, all right? But still very effective, very useful, all right? So hopefully, like I said, I was giving you those ideas while you were listening and watching. Hopefully you were able to practice a couple of them. If not, we're still going to get a chance to do that, okay? We'll take another quick 30-second break here and get a drink, and I'm going to check to see if you guys have any questions, all right? And then we're going to get right into the rest, all right? The third and final part. Basically, we're going to combine some of the videos that I put out on Tuesday, the earlier ones, all right? What we'll do is we'll do repetitions of 10, okay, for all of the body weight workouts and the variations. So if you watch those videos, hopefully you'll know what they are. If not, I'll make sure I explain it to you before we start. And then for the actual drilling part, the technique part, we're going to shadow box. But what I need you guys to do real quick is go grab a handful of pillows or something like that, or stuffed animal, something you can kind of put and place on the floor, okay? If you saw the video in the beginning of the week, the idea is we're going to shadow box while trying to avoid these obstacles and stuff that we place on the ground. All right. And while we're shadow boxing, what I want you guys to do, your challenge, is to try to work on some of those footworks that we just talked about and try to add in some of those attacks that we just talked about. Okay. So part of the learning process is first understanding the move. Now it's time to apply it. All right. So we're going to apply it with this fun shadow boxing drill that we have. Looking forward to it, Will. Nice. I hope you're jumping in too, right? Shane doing all the work, or are you getting some practice in yourself, sir? Everyone can jump in on this. Everyone, mom, dad, friends, okay, anybody can jump in and try this out. So let me know if you're giving it a try, Will. I'm all about trying to help you. Yeah? Oh, nice. Good. Awesome. That's good. Yeah, it's good for Shane too. You know, I'm always happy when the parents and the children both get to work together. It's a cool experience. So awesome. Very cool. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, grab a couple things. Here, I'm actually going to walk off camera for a moment. I apologize. I have to grab one of my things here. And put that one there. Okay. All right. So let me adjust the camera here. Of course, I'm trying. I'm sure you're doing fine, sir. Sure you're doing fine. You got this. All right. So first things first, what I'm going to do here is we're going to start off with 1 minute round of jumping jacks. Okay. Then we're going to do 2 minute round shadow boxing. And then in between each of the 3 shadow boxing rounds, we're going to do a little body weight workout, a little conditioning. Okay. First body weight exercise we're going to do is a walking push-up. If you don't know how to do that, you can just do regular push-up. We're going to go and try to get sets of 10. So everything we do, we're going to try to do 10 times. Okay. Then the second workout, we're going to do 10 regular sit-ups. Okay. Just standard sit-up. If you want to do a straight leg sit-up, that's fine. If you don't have anyone to hold your feet. Okay. And then for the squat, we're going to do a 30-second squat hold. Okay. So we're going to get down till our legs are parallel, and we're going to try to hold it for 30 seconds. Okay. Now, again, these are all going to be broken up with the shadow boxing. Okay. But first, I want to get the blood going. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and set our time for 1 minute. And for that whole minute, we're going to try to do our jumping jacks. Give me one moment. Just setting the timer on my phone is all. Okay. All right. Now, if you haven't already, make sure you clutter up your floor like I have here. Okay. Then we will begin. Okay. Make sure you still have a spot on the floor to where you can do the jumping jacks and the other part. Hopefully you guys can hear me well here. All right, this is 1 minute round. I'm gonna set my timer right here so I can see it. Okay. And in 10 seconds, we will begin. Okay. Be careful if you have low ceilings. If you're doing your jumping jacks, make sure you don't hit your head or hands on the ceiling. Okay. Ready? Begin. Okay. Nice and light. Again, be careful of your surroundings. Okay. Make sure you're not hitting the roof. If you're someone who lives in an apartment or condo building and you have neighbors that live under you, please be careful not to make too much noise when you're doing these. Okay. Keep going, keep going. Keep going, guys. Halfway there. 30 more seconds. Good job. Keep it up. Almost there. We got 10 more seconds. Okay. Stay light on those feet. time. Okay. Next, we're going to get into our shadow boxing right away. So make sure you have your items on the floor. Okay. Remember what we talked about. Try to avoid those items on the floor, and also try to work on some of the footwork we just did. I'm just switching my timer to 2 minutes. There we go. All right. All right. Now for 2 minutes, we shadow box. Okay. Go ahead and begin. Okay. Again, while you're shadow boxing, remember, avoid the obstacles that are on the floor. Okay. Try to work some of those footworks that we just practiced. Okay. This is, again, part of your learning process. When you learn a new move, right? When you're first doing it, you're just trying to understand it, right? Now that you add it into your shadow boxing, okay, now you're actually applying it. Good. Okay. Now, first is our 10 walking push-ups. Use one of your items on the ground. We're going to get down to our push-up position here. Both hands are going to go on the pillow or the item that you're using. Okay? Hold yourself up nice and straight. Then you're going to step one hand to the side, then down and up. That's one. Back to the middle. To the other side, down and up. Two. Okay? Then keep switching back and forth. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, last one, 10. All right, good job. Shake everything out. Now, next we get into another 2-minute shadow boxing round. All right. If you want, you can change your pattern a little bit, just to give you a different thing to work on. Okay. All right, go ahead and begin. Same thing. Uh-oh. Got myself stuck in a corner. Move out. Oops. Remember, keep trying to mix in that footwork, mix in some of those attacks we talked about while you shadow box. Good, good, good. Okay. Next conditioning was our sit-ups. Okay, no time limit on that. We're just going to do 10 of them. Okay. If you want, you can copy like we did on the video at the beginning of the week. Grab yourself a pillow, grab an item, hold it high above our head. Okay, I'm going to do a straight leg sit-up for this one. All right, you can do it straight leg, bent leg, however you want. We're just going for 10. Okay, so nice and straight, down, up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and last one, 10. Very good. All right. Last round of shadow boxing. Okay, if you want, you can rearrange your floor again. I want to change it up a bit. We'll definitely do that. All right, last shadow boxing round starts in 10 seconds. All right, guys. Last round shadow boxing. Go for it. Remember, as you're moving, try to avoid the items on the floor. Make sure you're circling around them and between them. Okay, try to add in those footworks. Then start adding in your attacks and defense. Okay, cover, right? Bob and weave, stuff like that. Never bad to add in. Keep going, guys. Almost there. 30 seconds. Okay, make sure you keep your body moving. Stay up on your toes. Keep punching. Keep kicking. Keep working your footwork. Try to avoid the items on the floor. We're almost there. Time. There it is. All right. Last conditioning for today is going to be our leg hold for 30 seconds. Okay. Change our time. All right, last one. We got 10 seconds. Okay, when I say go, bend your knees and hold that squat. Ready, set, and go. Squat down, hold. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Okay? Those legs are going to burn. That's normal. That's good. That's what you want. Okay? Keep your feet flat. Try to keep your chest and head proud. Okay? Hold that squat position. Try not to put the hands on the leg if you can. You cross the arms in front of you. Hold them like you're bowing for a salute. Okay? For the Thai student. Time. That's our 30. Okay? Good job, guys. Nicely done. All right. Go ahead and get yourself a quick drink. All right. Very good, very good. All right. And then there were two. So the two that made it. Good job. Way to stick in there. So there you have it. We went over all the lead leg series there. Practice those steps. Practice those steps. Practice those steps. Practice those steps. Okay, they're important, and you're going to be seeing a lot more of those steps in the gym. My goal is, when we do get to come back, is to make sure everybody works on those and practices them. So any of you guys that are on right now, thank you for coming in and working on it. You guys are going to have a head start when it comes time to get back to class. Make sure you check out the original videos if you were confused or unsure about any of them. And lastly, if you got any more questions or you get confused on them, just let me know. Okay? Reach out to me. I'll help you guys. All right? Thank you guys very much. Good workout. Hope to see you soon. Have a good day.